hard surface versus carpet in these areas? Is that something that you're seeing more and more hard surface going in, or is that, I mean, I've never been in a ballroom where I saw hard surface.
It doesn't make as much sense in the areas where you're going to particularly have people worried about noise and certain maintenance issues. We see in some of the boutique hotels more hard surface in the rooms. So then they would call on us for a rug. That the rug goes with hard surface, just like wall to wall goes. Doesn't have to be paired with the hard surface.
That's not a major trend, maybe in boutique.
It's more boutique, and again, a rug goes with that. So sometimes a high end. I mean, it's a funkier sort of design. So it's out there, and it's certainly growing, but it's not. I don't see that eating into for us, the large ballrooms or the corridors very much.
Talk about the word custom. That's a word that B Carpet uses. How much work out there in the commercial field is custom? I mean, is more and more work becoming custom?
I think so for several reasons. It's a model that works well. It's harder for manufacturers to invest in inventory and keep it on the shelf. And what we do in custom, our orders are already sold before we put them on the machine. And that's a model that works for us. We're small, and that works great. There are a lot of different ways to define custom. Here's a pattern, and you can substitute out the colors for something else. And then there's send us a sketch and we'll draw it for you. That kind of custom. So really, that's really pure custom. Yes, we do both.
I see.
We do both.
I suspect a lot of it is, well, I'm sure you've got an archive of...
We have a huge archive. In fact, often we'll have somebody send in a design. And what we're able to say is, this is lovely, but what if I showed you an element from this archived design that we have and a background from this, and we'll change the scale, and we can come very close to your vision with things that we've already done. That's still pretty custom, and there are still times where we have to draw something from scratch, but that is far more, that's far more intensive labor-wise than people think. People assume that with computers these days, you can take a scan and voila, you have the, it's really not. The cleanup, what somebody sees on a monitor isn't quite what we see on our monitors, and, and then to make it machine ready is definitely more complicated than you think.
I bet that's an interesting process in your business. Well, we really want this, and hey, this is something over here we can do really quickly or quicker, and getting from here to there sometimes, I imagine.
Exactly. And then there's the complication of how wide is the carpet going to be, and how's it going to side match? Yeah. So when you talk about repeats, there's a whole nother custom. I mean, there's a lot to work out. There's a whole lot to work out, and increasingly we're finding designers only have an idea of what we have to figure out for them. We'll say, okay, we'll make this ballroom work, and we'll make it turn the corner into the corridor, and we'll help you with this design. They know it's a problem. They have no idea where to start. And we're always reminding them, well, this would be beautiful, but if we make it this wide, your repeat is going to stop over here, so you won't be able to side match it over there. And we help them with all that. I mean, we really do a lot of hand holding, and it's high service.
That's really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, if that pattern doesn't match in a certain place or whatnot, I'm sure the whole situation is less than perfect, and people aren't happy.
That's right. But it's hard for them to anticipate that. We try to help them for them.
That's interesting. Well, let's talk about Octacia. What does that mean? Does that mean something, or do you just make up that word?
It's Latin.
Is it really?
It's two Latin roots pulled together. Obviously, octo, or everybody knows oct means 8, but Acia, A-C-I-A, or I wonder if that would be I better not even try to pull up my old Latin that I once learned, but that means yarn or thread. So when we found that word, because some people say, is it Octavia or Octacia? that actually means 8 yarns or 8 threads.
Well,
And
I
we
should have known that, but I did really poorly in Latin way back when.
and of course we call it 8 plus because essentially 8 colors cut and 8 colors loop are 16 colors because when we show you the examples, the cut end and the loop end are different, and you do get extra colors that way.
That's interesting. So now Octacia is, as you mentioned, 8 colors, and this is something that one can only do on the CYP machine, and the CYP machine that you have altered in some way to do this.
That's right.
And nobody else can do it.
That's right. That's right. The 8 color machine or the Octacia technology is based on CYP technology, but there was some remanufacturing of some parts that make it unique, that make us able to do this. And it would be extremely difficult for somebody else to modify a machine. This machine had some quirks about it that made it conducive to being modified. So it's a pretty special machine. It's a different thing.
So this is something your people got under there with a wrench or whatever you do with these machines and tweak it in such a way to be able to do this thing.
Exactly. And we went to our partner at CYP Technologies and we talked to their engineers and said, we're thinking about this. What do you think? Will it work? And they said, absolutely. You do this and then you have... And we sat around and talked and we went, this is really cool. So we collaborated on it. And we did some experimentation and we're real excited with the result.
Now, when you have these 8 colors that appear like 16, and I want to see the product, but before we see them, now that you have Octacia, you can do 8 colors which appear like 16 colors. What can you do with this in terms of looks and style that you couldn't do before?
Well, what we can do now is compete more easily with wovens. And the Axminsters are really that's where we find ourselves in competition more and more now. We tend, on the Tapistron side, people know us pretty well and how seriously we take technology, how we do several extra steps, I think more than our competitors, to make sure that we have the highest quality and the best definition of curves and things. We go to a lot of trouble on those things. We have extra backings we use. We do some extra steps in shearing and inspecting it all the way across. And you move to the Octacia, and now we're competing with woven. And sometimes some of the color point and color technologies out there, because those offer more colors, and that sometimes a designer is working with several colors and Tapistron just doesn't offer enough.
Okay.
So now we can do this. In fact, we've recently had a customer call us and say, I wasn't considering B-carpet because I was looking at my 9-color pattern and I was looking at Axminster. Now I'm considering Octacia, which is 8. That's going to. They said, I can drop 1 color. I couldn't drop 3, but I can drop 1, and now you're in the running. So that's exciting, very exciting.
So this can open up a lot of doors.
Yes.
For you
yeah.
that really weren't open before.
Yes.